Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Serena if you guys are new here, and we're going to be talking about all of the books that I read in the month of May. I know May isn't exactly over yet, but I am basically wrapping up my reading. So some of them are going to be like in progress readings. The rest of them are going to be books that I finished for the month. So surprisingly, I basically did not pick up a physical book until Book Lovers came out, and I got this from the library. I started it last week. Yes, I'm gonna say I started it last week. I am on chapter 15. I think I'm at like the 40% mark of this book, so I have not finished this one yet, but I should have it done by the end of the month. So right now I am giving it, I want to say like 4 stars. I am not obsessed yet, but everybody says at the end that I will be obsessed. So we'll do a wait and see on that one. And then the other in progress one is on my Kindle. It's called An Imperfect Plan by Addison McKnight. They have portrayed this like, I don't want to call it a thriller, but I don't want to call it a romance per se. It's kind of like, I just call these like a drama read. I don't know what the actual genre of it is, but I'm about 50% through that one, and it is also really, really good. It came out May 10th, so I just have to finish that, but I did put it down because I wanted to not have FOMO about Book Lovers. So those are the 2 books that I have in progress right now. So now let's get into what I read this month. So I have a whole bunch of notes on my phone, so if you see me like glancing at my phone, as usual, that is why. The first book that I read this month was actually a carryover from April to May, and it was called Blame It on the Brontes by, I always like to tell you guys who wrote it. Blame It on the Brontes is by Annie Sereno, and I gave this 4 stars. The tropes in it were, I know people say like second chance romance, but this is more of like a third chance romance. We have a dual POV, and that is point of view in case like you didn't know. He falls first and forced proximity. Content warnings, nothing that I can think of off the top of my head, so nothing there. Why I chose to read it, this is kind of like a new segment in my wrap-ups, so I wanted to include that. Why I chose to read it, I saw it on NetGalley a couple months ago actually, and I thought it was just a really fun, like cute plot. I was like, oh, like that'll be a fun read. I'll read that, especially for like the spring and summer when I want something light. So that's why I chose that. And when I saw the main character was a curvy female, she had curly hair. I don't remember her ethnicity off the top of my head. She just seemed like very relatable, so that's why I wanted to read it. She also loves classic novels, and she is currently writing a paper about a novel series that retells classic novels, so I thought that was pretty cool. And she loves the Bronte sisters, and so do I. So that is why I picked it. Let me just read you the summary of it and then my like overall thoughts. So the summary says, English professor Athena Murphy is an authority on the novels of the Bronte sisters. As they say in academia, publish or perish. To save her job, Athena decides to write a biography of C.L. Garland, the author heating up bestseller lists with spicy retellings of classic literature. Tracking down the reclusive writer and uncovering her secret identity, though, means Athena must return to her small Midwestern hometown where Garland and her ex-boyfriend, Thorne Kent, live. The only solution is to find C.L. Garland as quickly as possible, write the book, and get the heck out of the town. As her deadline looms, and as the list of potential C.L. Garlands dwindles, Athena and Thorne bicker and banter their way back to friendship. Could it really be true that a third time's a charm? Athena and Thorne have a love story only a Bronte could write, and the chance for their own happily ever after, but first, they'll need to forgive the mistakes of the past. So that is the summary. I really enjoyed this one, like I said before, and it was just a very quick read because I wanted to know what happened and I wanted to know who C.L. Garland was. I did not find this story to be predictable by any means. I thought I had a prediction about 60% through, and I was wrong. So that's always a fun little thing to go through. But yeah, overall, I do recommend this one. Is available on Kindle. The bookstores have it. Wherever you buy your books, they should have a copy of it. And you can always just get it on Amazon too. But we over here on this YouTube channel like to support small businesses as much as possible. So try to go to your local bookstore if you can. So that was that one. That was the first one that I read. Like I said, it was a carryover. I think I read most of it in May though, so I am counting it for May. The next book that I listened to was Winter Garden by Kristen Hanna. I gave this one 4 stars. There was no real tropes. It was more of just like a historical fiction story. Content warnings, death, family member passing away. Why I chose to read it, like I said, is by Kristen Hanna, and I'm slowly making my way through her backlist. I've only read The Great Alone by her so far, but I do have The Nightingale on my shelf, so I would like to read that one soon too. Her books are just very thick, so I have to kind of time them with some other smaller books to read. And I saw this was on Kindle Unlimited, so I was like, let me just download it. So with Kindle Unlimited, this is not like an ad or anything, you can have the option to either listen on Audible or to read it. So I chose to listen on Audible because I needed a book at the time to read, and I wanted to save my Audible credit for something else. So I was like, oh, let me just listen to Kristen Hanna. This one I thought was a little bit slower than A Great Alone, but this one was definitely more touching, the story, which you'll see when I read the summary. So as it was a little bit slower, I did find myself getting a little bored at times, but the overall premise and plot of the story did like 110% make up for the speed. So let me just read the summary. It says, Meredith and Nina Whitson are as different as sisters can be. One stay at home to raise her children and manage the family business. The other followed a dream and traveled the world to become a famous photojournalist. But when their beloved father falls ill, these two estranged sisters will find themselves together again, standing alongside their disapproving mother, Anya, who even now offers no comfort to her daughters. On his deathbed, the father extracts a promise. Anya will tell her daughters a story. It is the one she began years ago and never finished. This time, she will tell it all the way to the end. The tale their mother tells them is unlike anything they've heard before. A captivating, mysterious love story that spans more than 60 years and moves from a frozen, war-torn Leningrad to a modern-day Alaska. Nina's obsession to uncover the truth will send all of them on an unexpected journey into their mother's past, where they will discover a secret so shocking it shakes the foundations of their family and changes who they believe they are. Mesmerizing from beginning to end, Winter Garden is the rarest of novels, at once an epic love story and an intimate portrayal of women poised at the crossroads of their lives, evocative, lyrically written, and ultimately uplifting. It will haunt the listeners long after the last word is spoken. So that is the Goodreads summary. All my summaries are going to be from Goodreads, by the way. So that is Winter Garden, and I will definitely say I still sometimes think about this one just because it was such an interesting, different kind of story. So I'm definitely glad that I read it, and I highly encourage, if you're looking for a historical fiction, touching kind of story, definitely pick this one up. I think it was, I don't have the time on here, but I think it was about 14 hours, which is the same as The Great Alone. So it did take me a little while to get through, but overall it was still really good. The next one that I listened to, another audiobook. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of audio and digital books this month, just because I did do a lot of traveling. So on the planes and in the car, and just, it was a good time to listen to books. The next book that I listened to was The Roughest Draft, which I think, no, it is not my only 5-star read this month, but it was my first 5-star read of the month, which was amazing. So yes, I did give it 5 stars. The tropes here are enemies to lovers, forced proximity, and workplace romance. Content warnings are divorce. And why I chose to read it, I used my Audible credit this month. So like I said, it was an audiobook, and I just love books about books, and doing Blame It on the Brontes and The Rough Draft, and now Book Lovers. I've had my fair share of books about books this month. This was recommended for me on Audible just based on my previous listening history. When I saw it was a dual narration for the two main characters, I was like, yes, I have to read it, because I just think that multiple narrators for multiple POVs just like makes sense for an audiobook, and it just makes the experience that much better. So that's why I chose to read this one. Let me just read the summary and I'll give you guys my thoughts. So it says, 3 years ago, Katrina Freeling and Nathan Van Huysen were the brightest literary stars on the horizon. Their co-written book topped the bestsellers list. But on the heels of their greatest success, they ended their partnership on bad terms for reasons neither would divulge to the public. They haven't spoken since and never plan to, except they have one final book due on a contract. Facing crossroads in their personal and professional lives, they're forced to reunite. The last thing they ever thought they'd do again is hole up in the tiny Florida town where they wrote their previous book, trying to finish a new manuscript quickly and painlessly. Working through the reasons they've hated each other for the past 3 years isn't easy, especially not while writing a romantic novel. While their passion and prose push them closer together in the Florida heat, Katrina and Nathan will learn that relationships, like writing, sometimes take a few rough drafts before they get it right. I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, I gave it 5 stars. I was so invested in this book. I really feel like I related to Katrina and kind of Nathan. Yeah, kind of both. I just really admired Nathan's persistence and Katrina's eventually willingness to for them to get together and write this novel. I did not love that at any given point in the book somebody was in a relationship and somebody wasn't, so it just made the kind of banter a little annoying. But in the end, it all ended up working out. I love that she loved going to the bookstores. I loved that she always wanted a new read. Kind of sounded like me. Yeah, this was just like a solid read, especially with the dual narration. That definitely, I think, made the book that much better of an experience. But overall, I did really like this one. I wasn't bored at any point. I wasn't predicting the end at any point. It was overall just a good read, good listen, and I definitely recommend you reading this one if you're into books about books and dual narration, things like that. That was that one. The next book that I read was Fool Me Once by Ashley Winstead. This was supposed to be April's book club pick, and it was, and I wanted to get the library book because I am really out of room on my shelves right now, and I didn't get the library book until, like, I didn't get the hold that I placed at the beginning of the month until 2 days after the book club meeting. So as you can see, I didn't go to book club, but I did end up reading this book still. I got the library book, I started reading that, and then I had to go away on vacation, so I got the Kindle book, so it was kind of like a mix of the two for the formats. But yeah, I thought this book was really good. It took me a little while to get into it. It was my first Ashley Winstead read. I wasn't really attached to the main character, and I think that's why it took me a little while to get into it. Couldn't really relate to her, but I still really appreciated the story because she was a woman in the political field and she's working in it for a tech company. So like just things surrounding things in a book made sense for me to continue to invest into it. I gave this one 4 stars. I don't know if I said that already, but yes, 4 stars on this one. And tropes were workplace romance, enemies to lovers, third chance romance. Again, I don't know if that's a real thing, if I'm just making that up. And forced proximity. Content warnings on this one are cheating. And that is it as far as content warnings go, I think. Yeah, I think that's it. I thought this one was really interesting too, and like an interesting concept that is up and coming in today's world. Our main character is trying to pass a bill, like government cars and people that work for the government drive electric vehicles. And I feel like that's very like new, and like that's something that states are going through right now. So I thought it was pretty cool. I'll just read the summary. So it says, Leah Stone is a 21st century woman. She kicks butt at her job as a communications director at a woman-run electric car company that's better than Tesla, thank you. And after work, she is quote-unquote stoner. That's her nickname. Drinking guys under the table and never letting anyone get too comfortable in her bed. That's because Lee learned one big lesson: never trust men. After 4 major heartbreaks set her straight, from her father cheating on her mom all the way to Ben Lederman in grad school, who wasn't actually cheating, but she could have sworn he was, so she reciprocated in kind. Then Ben shows up 5 years later, working as a policy expert for the most liberal governor in Texas history, just as Lee is trying to get clean energy bill rolling. Things get complicated and competitive as Lee and Ben are forced to work together. Tension builds just as old sparks reignite, fanning the flames of a romantic dust-up the size of Texas. This one was definitely interesting. It was interesting to see a female main character struggle with cheating and insecurities about love and loss and just not believing love exists. There were definitely times that I wanted to shake Lee, like literally take her shoulders and be like, hello, wake up. There's one part at the end that really got me that I was kind of annoyed about, which I don't want to like spoil it, so I'm not going to talk about it, but it was just really annoying. But yeah, overall, like the book was really good. We'll definitely continue to read Winstead's books. Like I said, this is my first one by her, so I also want to read In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. I hear that thriller is like out of this world, so I'm really excited for that one. And she's also coming out with The Last Housewife in August, I want to say. Yeah, I think it's August, which I also really want to get my hands on before it comes out. So I want an ARC copy so bad. So yeah, that's where I am with that one. It definitely was a quick read also. Like once I really got into it, I was just kind of page turn after page turn, or swipe because I was on my Kindle. But yeah, overall good read. I definitely recommend Winstead's books. She came out with In My Dreams I Hold a Knife first, so I have to go back and read that one. I want to kind of read her books as they come out, so I'm trying to catch up before The Last Housewife comes out. Next on my list, we have a nonfiction read. I'm trying my best to throw in one nonfiction read a month. If it's not nonfiction, it'll be poetry. I guess that's considered nonfiction also, like just something to kind of break up the fiction. So this month I chose the book called Yoke, My Yoga of Self-Acceptance by Jessamine Stanley. And star rating, I don't rate nonfiction because it's somebody's life and somebody's experiences. So I'm just taking a sip of coffee real quick. I don't put a star rating on somebody's life. Like, it doesn't make sense. So this one I didn't give a rating to. Tropes. I don't think tropes exist for nonfiction, so I just put like not sure. Content warnings, again, I'm not gonna say that there's a warning on somebody's like life experiences, so you guys just kind of have to read that to find out. Why I chose to read this one, I was looking back in January or February for a good like nonfiction read that wasn't too long, that was just something good to break it up, but something that I was interested in, and I'm very much so interested in the health and wellness and yoga industry. So when I saw this one, I was like, oh yeah, like I'll download that. That looks like a good read. Just her story alone kind of interests me a lot. She is a Black woman in the yoga industry, making her presence known because she is somebody that's different in the yoga industry, which is a very white dominated industry. So she talks about her struggles and triumphs being a Black woman. She makes her story so relatable because there's times where she talks to you like you're having an actual conversation with her, and then there's other times where when she's laying out the facts, she gets, you know, literary and she's writing her essays in a different tone to kind of like drive the point home. But it's just interesting to me how easily and how fluently she can flip back and forth between the two. So I really seriously enjoyed every second of this one. I found it to be also a very quick read. I think it was 120 pages, I think, and I read it in like a day and a half, 2 days. I was just glued, absolutely glued to this book. I think it was my fastest read of the month, not just like page-wise, but also like speed, because I just really enjoyed it. So the summary says, funny, thoughtful, inspiring, and deeply personal essays about yoga, wellness, and life from author of Everybody Yoga, Jessamine Stanley. Stanley explores her relationship and hours to yoga, including why we practice rather than how, wrestles with issues like cultural appropriation, materialism, and racism, and explores the ways we can all use yoga as a tool for self-love. So that's the summary on that one. And like I said, I really enjoyed just getting a different point of view, a different outlook on that whole industry, seeing someone else's struggles, but also their triumphs through it. So I definitely recommend, if you're looking for a nonfiction read and are interested in yoga and fitness and just breaking down cultural norms, definitely read this one. Definitely. Next one that I started are 2 audiobooks. I started these the millisecond I got home from Florida. When I was in Orlando, we did Disney, but we also did Universal, and Universal has Harry Potter World. So after being fully immersed in the Harry Potter world that they have built, I immediately started downloading the books from the Libby app, which is through my library, completely binging them. I finished book 1 in a day and a half. So that is The Sorcerer's Stone. And then book 2 took me a little bit longer because we were in Maine driving and my family didn't want to listen. I'm sure they didn't want to listen to Harry Potter with me. So I actually finished book 2, which is The Chamber of Secrets, this morning, and I started book 3, which is The Prisoner of Azkaban. Both of these books that I've finished are amazing. I'm probably going to finish Prisoner of Azkaban this month also, so I probably should have mentioned that earlier, but whatever. Anyway, book 1, which is The Sorcerer's Stone, I gave 5 stars. I just love that book. I read books 1 through 3 like 8 to 10 years ago. I was in middle school, and I only read books 1 through 3. And if it wasn't middle school, it was definitely like early high school, like 9th grade. I just never finished it. I only read books 1 through 3, and that was it. I think I made it maybe halfway through book 4, but I'm not really counting that. So I don't remember like anything. I think I tried to pick up book 1 again, either very late in high school, like senior year, or in college, and I just never finished it. So book 1 was like the only book that I kind of knew what was going on. I find book 1 to be very much so like a comfort read, just like a feel good, I don't know. I just really liked book 1. Book 2, I found to be a little annoying, only because I found the characters to be annoying. So we have Gilderoy Lockhart, who is so annoying with his books, and it turns out that, you know, he's not who he says he is, and I just wanted him gone from the second that he like entered the chat. Then we have the Malfoys, who I also find really annoying. Like, they just need to go away. They just need to be done. Like, go. And then lastly, we have, who else did I find annoying? Oh, Tom Riddle. That whole experience was very annoying. I did really like seeing Ginny kind of grow in her character at Hogwarts. Well, grow into her like person at Hogwarts. I want more from her. I can't wait to get more from her. Yeah, Harry and Ron and Hermione just got in trouble all the time. I feel like every chapter something happened. So everybody needs to leave Harry alone for just 2 seconds and just let him do his thing. That is all I'm asking. I am just starting book 3. So I really want Hagrid to return because I'm missing Hagrid. So that is where I'm at right now with these two books, and I guess I can just read the summary of both of them. I feel like I'm probably the only person in the world that hasn't read this whole series yet. I also haven't seen the movies, so I am like super behind. So I'll just read. Okay, so this is the summary for book 1. Harry Potter has never even heard of Hogwarts when the letters start dropping at the doormat at 4 Privet Drive. Addressed in green ink on a yellowish parchment with a purple seal, they are swiftly confiscated by his grisly aunt and uncle. Oh yeah, they need to go away too. Then on Harry's 11th birthday, a great beetle-eyed giant from a man called Rubeus Hagrid bursts in with some astonishing news. Harry Potter is a wizard, and he has a place at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. An incredible adventure is about to begin. So that's book 1. Book 2, which is now the Chamber of Secrets. Harry Potter's summer has included the worst birthday ever, doomly warnings from a house elf called Dobby? How do we pronounce it? I don't know. And a rescue by his friend Ron Weasley in a magical flying car. Back at the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry for his second year, Harry hears strange whispers echoing through the emptied corridors, and then attacks start. Students are found as though turned into stone. Dobby's sinister predictions seem to come true. So that is book 2. Yeah, just a lot of annoying characters in book 2, and I want them all gone. But I'm really excited for book 3, and then to finally get like the whole series done. Like I said, I am listening to them. I don't own the books. I haven't watched the movies, so this is gonna be all new to me. It seems like everybody on Bookstagram is kind of like excited to see my reactions. So yeah, that is May in a nutshell. Like I said, this is the only physical book that I have touched this month, which is definitely like, it feels weird, and my content has definitely reflected that, but it's a good change of pace. So I'm here for it. Books are books, whatever format they're consumed in, it doesn't matter. And I'm just really excited. I'm hoping to kind of finally have a month where I'm wrapped up by May 31st. So June 1st, I get to start all new books. That would be really exciting. So I'm not going to talk about June's TBR yet. That is going to be a whole separate video, so make sure you guys look out for that. And yeah, I think my favorite book this month, I guess I can kind of talk about that too. My top 3, because I can't seem to ever pick one, would definitely be The Roughest Draft would be number 1. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone would be number 2. Fool Me Once would probably be number 3. Even though I gave it 4 stars, I still really liked it overall. That is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I normally have like a stack of books here with me, but I don't. So I'm, yeah, just here with my one book and all my audio and Kindle books that I read. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys got some book recommendations out of it. I'm trying to be a little more detailed with these now. I got some great feedback on March's wrap up. I didn't do one for April just because April was very busy. So here we are in May. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe because I do these videos now every month, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a video with me. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.